Today, Joe Biden's push to mask you back up, and Kamala Harris laughs about your children's misfortune. It's a real doozy today. Buckle up. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show.
Good to be
Thank
here.
you for being here. And also joined by Eric July, double dose of Eric July.
Yes,
I just saw you yesterday.
days.
Yes,
Yeah.
BlazeTV
Come on.
contributor. Thank you for being here as well. We've got a lot to get to today. So Joe Biden came out and said, now, I would just like to preface this with, during the campaign, he was asked many times whether or not he would institute a mask mandate, a nationwide mask mandate. Now, he waffled back and forth on this. He said, yes, he would. Then he backed off of it and said, well, I would leave that up to the local authorities, the state authorities, the governors, what have you. And so we saw it coming. We knew that this would be some sort of a pressure, situation where the federal government would be putting pressure on the state governments to do what the federal government decided was right when it came to COVID. Well, here is Joe Biden yesterday, raising concerns about rising COVID-19 cases and calling on state governors to reinstate mask mandates because of, everyone's patriotic duty. Watch.
I'm reiterating my call for every governor, mayor, and local leader to maintain and reinstate the mask mandate. Please, this is not politics. Reinstate the mandate if you let it down. And business should require masks as well. The failure to take this virus seriously, precisely what got us into this mess in the first place, risks more cases and more deaths. Look, as I do my part to accelerate the vaccine distribution and vaccinations, I need the American people to do their part as well. Mask up. Mask up. It's a patriotic duty. It's the only way we ever get back to normal.
Now, I just would like to just to input some facts in this situation, because context is still a thing.
Yep.
I know that the left likes to wish that context was just lost, but the states experiencing the largest percentage increases in confirmed COVID-19 cases over the last 2 weeks are Michigan, Connecticut, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and New York, all of which have mask mandates currently in effect. Now, Texas, for instance, we had our mask mandate removed on March 10th. And now it's been 3 weeks. We were told that after 2 weeks, we would all be dead. Now, cases have fallen by 17% in Texas, and deaths have fallen by 34% over the past 2 weeks. And Mississippi removed their mask mandates at the same time. They have experienced even better results than that since lifting their mask mandate. But nonetheless, Joe Biden says it is your patriotic duty to mask up. And by the way, also follow the science is what they keep telling us. Seems to be conflicting ideas here.
Look, there's so much in that. There's so much hogwash there. Number one, this is the only way we can get back to normal. No, you don't want to get back to normal. The numbers are telling us we have been back to normal for a long time, and this is your only way to put your thumb back on Americans again. And the mask is not God, and nor are you, Joe, right? And so the answer is no, Joe. On everything, it's no, right? There's no proof, as you know, no scientific, and we need to look at other nations and African nations where disease is a big deal, normally, permanently, right? Real disease, right? No, they're losing the grip of power, right, particularly by the numbers. And I think what's happening in Texas and the other states, there's probably now more accurate reporting as well.
Right.
Because there's a relaxed environment by the governor saying you don't have to wear the mask, so those reporting are not loading the numbers anymore. All of a sudden, a COVID death is an actual COVID death, if there is such a thing, right? It's not a motorcycle accident that all of a sudden is a COVID death. And so you're going to see the numbers plummet. And it's just ironic, I think, my little prediction, states that keep wearing masks, people stay sick because it's also pollen season. So you're talking about a kid with snot running and green stuff, and it's all here in his face, and he can't breathe, and there's no fresh oxygen. Watch. Abbott, stay the course, though.
Yeah, Eric.
It's always bizarre when people try to have some sort of form of authoritarianism and they try to tie it to what is the patriotic duty. Generally, you think you hear that from the other side, and I say this all the time, that they will pull that card. You know, we've seen that. The leftists will pull that card. When they want to force you to do something, and the way they try to coerce you into doing it is like, hey, well, you care about your country, do you not? Well, why wouldn't you just put a diaper on your face?
You want to kill grandma?
Exactly. So it's unfortunate that that's how this has to go, where they, of course, lose the grip. People start to pay attention finally, like, wait a minute, the sky isn't falling. You know, Texas isn't doing as bad as what they said it was going to do. Mississippi isn't doing as bad. And this is why he doesn't make the distinction when he says the places where states where the cases are going up. He doesn't make the distinction. He doesn't bother to say, oh, New York, wait a minute. They've been having these mask mandates for forever, right? Y'all even use them for the example of what we should do. Wait a minute, are their policies not working? No, why make that distinction? Just say that. See, the reason why they're doing that is what I ultimately think is that, like you mentioned, whether it be in the CDCs or whether they were changing around how, you know, you're supposed to report this, what is actually considered a COVID case, some of that may be attributing to the cases going down. So unfortunately, what they see it as is, okay, a lot of people are going to think what we're doing is hogwashing in the first place. And so a lot of folks that we had on our side are going to be looking at us like, have you been lying to us this entire time?
That's right.
So in order to make it seem so, you know, like that is, it's the mask, right? See, it's the mask. They have to have this implemented. And this is their last Hail Mary, because as the cases go down, if it looks to be the case that it has nothing, the mask had nothing to do with it, they look bad. So they want to get that stuff re-implemented. So as it still trends down, they get to say, well, see what the mask did it.
Well, see, here's the whole deal. I want to tell you when it's better.
Yeah.
I want to have the control to tell you when it's better. So I'm going to reinforce the mask. And then when I say you can take your mask off, it's when we clear the coast for you, not the actual science or the actual facts. And now the American people are saying, no, it's been better. And the governors are saying, finally, and it was late, Abbott was late, it's better, and that it's control. But isn't it the exact same thing as we're not going to look at Chicago when we talk guns?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. No, we don't talk about Chicago, but we want to throw out science and facts here when it's convenient. Patriotic duty. Our patriotic duty is to make sure you never step foot in the White House again after this term. That's our patriotic duty.
Well, now that you guys are talking about them wanting to use this as some sort of leverage for controlling the people, let me bring in the CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who was talking about the feeling of impending doom that she has had for the state of the pandemic because, you know, people might not be following public health guidelines. Watch.
I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared. I'm speaking today not necessarily as your CDC director, or not only as your CDC director, but as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, to ask you to just please hold on a little while longer. I so badly want to be done. I know you all so badly want to be done. We are just almost there.
Oh, almost there. We're going to dangle that carrot in front of your face forever as long as you keep taking it. Now, I do want to point out something very interesting before I toss it to you guys. I did notice she did just say lose the script.
Exactly.
As she's looking down at a script.
The whole speech, she's looking at the script as the tears well up. She keeps looking down at the script. The whole freaking thing is scripted.
But lose the script. Lose the script.
Play it again, you'll see.
Can we please? Let's
play it
again.
Play it I'm a film director
eyes.
for crying out loud. She's reading the whole speech.
Yeah, let's watch that.
I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script.
Oh, are you?
And I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending.
Look at her eyes go left to right.
Yeah, we have so much to look forward to.
The whole time, watch.
So much promise and potential of where
Looking down,
we are,
reading.
and so much reason for hope.
Wow.
But right now, I'm scared.
Well,
I'm speaking today not necessarily as your
She's gonna look down
CDC director, or not only as your CDC director, but as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, to ask
down
you
again.
to just
There she went.
Down
hold
again.
on a little while longer. I so badly want to be done. I know you
Little
all
piece
so
of Hamlet.
badly want to be
There
done.
it is
We are
again.
just Almost there, but not quite yet.
Which is interesting too, because she's like, I'm a wife, I'm a mother. Like, you wouldn't think that she would need to read that from a piece of paper. You probably would
just a quick
know
reminder
that you are a wife and a mother and a daughter.
Well, here's what I go. If that was an audition on Actors Access, do not hire
Yeah,
her
she was
because
not
she
good.
can't even go off script when she says she's gonna. She couldn't even prepare, couldn't even study the lines to calm the American people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off script now, Sarah. You're not seeing my eyes, Sarah. I mean, my word. I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm looking at it going, what a fake.
This is just, it's such political theater. Now, I do have a question too, because, you saw this 15 days to slow the spread. We've got to flatten the curve for hospitals. I think all three of us at this table said, guys, you don't want to let the government have this control, because once you show them that you're willing to relinquish the control to them, they're not going to give it back to you. And then we went from 15 days to slow the spread to, by the way, you need a vaccine passport to be reintroduced into society. And there are a lot of people out there who, I think, conservatives even, who they will, they call themselves conservative, yet they say, well, you know what, if a vaccine passport is what it takes to get back to normalcy, to return to normal life, I'm willing to do that.
Those are the
and
most milquetoast, and to me, they're the enemies of liberty. And I wanna make
negotiate with terrorists.
You don't ever negotiate with terrorists, and I want to make it abundantly clear. Those types, I've seen them. Those conservative types. 'Cause a lot of them are ragging on me at the beginning of this when I would say like, "Hey, man, this is not." No, you don't give them power. We've seen what they do. If you give them the inch, they're going to take the mile. They always do that. It's when you have to remain most principled. Is when adversity strikes. That's when, because that's when it's more ripe for them to go for their power grab. So you have to hold the line in that instance. And unfortunately, they didn't. So they keep, it's like you said, it's a carrot. So they keep dangling the carrot, and these people are unfortunately under this false pretense, even though it's been proven that this is not going to work. The can's going to get kicked down the road even more. They just want to return to normalcy so bad. So if we just listen to these guys, they'll let us get back to our life. Just do what they say. No. And even when you did do it, how many more times? 15 days to slow the spread. Wait till, maybe we got to wait till a vaccine. Well, vaccine not enough. You make it still spread it. How many more times do they have to kick the can down the road for Americans, including those milquetoast? I call you something else on my own show, but those milquetoast conservatives who sit up there and like, oh, well, we just got to do it just for the time being. No, you got to hold the line. You have to remain most principled when adversity strikes, because that's what freedom is about. You don't just throw it out the window when you are faced with some sort of hard time. That's not how it works.
Eric, respect is earned, and freedom you take.
Yeah.
You take freedom. You think your oppressor is ever going to give you
true.
freedom? Good luck. I've said it before. The most perfect slave in the world is a slave that believes he's free. That's those milquetoast conservatives. Oh, I just want to.
It's not freedom if the government allows you to have it.
So here's my question. Here's my golden egg, golden goose question for the President of the United States, and he's, I guess, co-president of the United States, Kamala Harris, right? Right? Define normal. Define normal for America. Come, define normal for us. And I guarantee you, if from the heart they define normal, you'd say, oh, hell no, that's not normal. There's no return to normal. What people think is normal by these people. They have moved this nation and will continue, kick the can, move this nation, and they want to redefine normal. So what people go, I just want to go back to normal. You've lost that narrative with them. They're way down the road.
Especially if you're waiting for them to give you
exactly.
permission
You gotta
to do
take it back.
Yeah.
You take it.
This is why you got to tell people to go screw themselves. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's the reality of the situation. Like at some point in time, you have to, when you're looking at these aggressors, is more so what they are. And we hold this, and these conservatives would hold this position on anything else. When it's like, if the aggressor is upon you, why are we advocates of like gun ownership and stuff like that? Because you don't want to be a victim. You cannot depend on the aggressor to stop using aggression upon you. That's not what you can depend on, because if he or she smells blood, well, they're going to continue to do whatever it was, whether it be stealing from you, unfortunately, maybe killing you, whatever, they'll do it. They'll do it. So you have to take that stand. And that's the reality of the situation. When you see Biden up there, or the CDC president, what they're really doing right now, or the director, whatever she is, they're squirming. because they're losing hold of the
Exactly.
they hate
Yes.
they hate instances like the Texas of the world because it proves them wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything they have been lecturing everybody about, it's like people start to see that and they're like, well, maybe that's that they were wrong the entire time, or at least starting to question it. That's them squirming, which is why we need more, not
Exactly.
less. You need to
Now's
tell
the
them
time
to
to
go
go on
do
the offense.
whatever it is. You can see it, talk all you
Go on the
want,
offense,
but
yeah.
we're gonna go about our business. Like you just said, we need to go on the offense. Always playing on defense. Let's get on the offense.
We need more Neanderthal thinking,
Yes.
obviously.
Facts.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So if you have not heard of the crime of home title theft, consider yourselves lucky, because that means that it hasn't happened to you. Now, cybercrime is up 75% since COVID happened, because all of these people are sitting around at home looking to get into trouble. And unfortunately for all of us, everything's kept online, including the title documents to our homes. So the cybercriminal goes on, forges your signature on a quitclaim deed, stating that you just sold your home to them. And then they can borrow money using your home's equity. They can leave you in debt. You're not going to know it, by the way, until a late payment or eviction notice arrives, or better yet, they go at your door and they're ready to move in. Don't let that happen to you, okay? Go to Home Title Lock. Home Title Lock will put a barrier around your home's title, and the moment they detect anyone tampering with it, they will shut it down. Now, let's get you protected. Go to HometitleLock.com, register your address. You're not going to know if you are already a victim unless you go register your address, and then you can enter code RADIO for 30 free days of protection. That is promo code RADIO to help you through it if you happen to be one of the unlucky victims. You're not going to know unless you go to HometitleLock.com. That is HometitleLock.com. Back in a minute. Joe Biden's counterpart, Vice President Kamala Harris, laughed during, well, actually, I'm sorry. I like your description of co-president.
Co-president.
Yep.
I like that much
It's a
better.
co-president.
Joe Biden's co-president, Kamala Harris, laughed during recent remarks that she made at a child care center in Connecticut while speaking about how the pandemic has caused parents to realize the value of educators. You know, she's talking about parents struggling to educate their kids during the pandemic because it's so funny. It's so funny to talk about these kids and all the mental health struggles that they've had and the fact that they've had to stay at home because the teachers' unions are evil. Listen.
More people are seeing that, yeah, affordable childcare is a big deal. More parents are seeing the value of educators when they had to bring their kids and said, we're not paying them nearly enough.
That's not funny. I'm
Not at
sorry.
all.
I don't find that to be funny.
hysterically
The fact that children's mental health is in jeopardy right now, the fact that suicides are up, the fact that depression is up, the fact that these children are suffering and have suffered at the hands of these teachers' unions, these schools. But that's really funny. It's really funny to Kamala Harris that parents are stuck teaching their children because they shut the schools down for no reason.
First time I saw that and I heard that laugh, and your laugh is so spot on. I mean, I love it. I love it. First time I saw that, this is what went through my mind. Her laugh is because sincerely there's evil there, because she knows the parents are now being forced to a degree for their children to be subjected to the biggest garbage under the sun, right? And parents don't want to. You know this firsthand. They want something better for their child, but you're now forcing this parent to go, hey, by the way, you need to learn 8th grade math again. 10th grade math, and they go, I can't run. And she's laughing, go, haha, yeah, you thought you could do it by yourself, but you need us. You need us. Bring your babies here and let us corrupt them, right? It's flat out evil. That laugh is from either nervousness, so she doesn't know what she's talking about, or evil. Those are her 3 defaults, right?
I mean, I feel like at this point, you can't be nervous when you're speaking to people, right? Like, you've done it a million
that's evil.
times. I feel like it's
satisfaction. It's a sick.
a compulsion of like when I'm lying or doing
lying, yeah.
no good,
Yeah.
right? I laugh.
No,
Yeah,
she
you're
think
right.
As some
they
sort
no.
of
I
a
think what it
reaction.
is they get a
lying.
kick out of people like Kamala Harris. Get a kick out of this idea that people are seeing how there's a fundamental problem with I don't think it's the education system that a lot of people are. I mean, I've long noticed and I'll highlight it. But what she's alluding to is this idea that it's a difficult thing to do. So it's like you were saying, hey, you can't do it right. This is why you need to drop them off at the indoctrination camp. Now, I see that completely different because hopefully you're seeing how corrupt these institutions are. Now that you're more close to the problem, right? The fundamental problem, you see, well, the teachers unions get to arbitrarily say that, well, we'll go back to school whenever we feel like it. And you know, we have to do this in-person learning, despite the fact that a lot of students, some may be okay with that. A lot of students may not be. Like, that's not how they learn. They're not at this most efficient learning point when they are sitting on the other side of a computer. And that's been my problem with the public education system anyway, is that it treats it as if it's a one-size-fits-all. This is why I think it's outdated, nonetheless. But no, what she's giggling at is the fact that she wants people to kind of bolster up this idea that we need to be giving our kids to the indoctrination camps because of how difficult it is, and you as a parent are seeing it. Me personally, I don't think that's funny. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a problem with how you guys handle education, and the fact that the money doesn't follow the kids, like I was making the point this yesterday, that's a problem. The fact that you can't take your child, your money, which is stolen from you, by the way, you can't take that money and it follow wherever your kid goes. Your kid's going to this garbage school who wants to sit up here and do this on the other side of whatever learning, right, on the other side of a computer, and you know your kid can't, that's not how he's not effective learning in that capacity. You should be able to take that money elsewhere and get them some more efficient learning to some school that does say, hey, we'll remain open.
You mean school choice?
Oh, yeah, I know.
You mean school choice, Eric?
Ain't that something?
Wasn't there a silver-haired guy, a blonde guy in the White House recently that owns a couple golf courses that said maybe we need, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Bro. That was what.
But he tweeted mean things.
And those are the things that the people that she's trying to appeal to, or rather she's speaking on their behalf, they hate that concept for that exact reason. Because it not only it exposes them, but they can't get away with that crap. Why do you think the teachers union, this is for the conservatives that especially don't understand it, why do you think the teachers unions can get away with what it is that they can get away with? If they were required to work, ain't no striking. Nobody cares that you're gonna be out of a job. Bet you're gonna be out of a job. All right, you wanna stay home? Go ahead. Go ahead, stay at home. But they get this money, it's guaranteed, because the money isn't funding the kids, it's funding the institutions, man.
Tenure in this country was the most. I'm raised by an educator. 40 years, my mom. We got 7 teachers in my family. When I learned about tenure in this country, it's like, have you guys lost your mind? There's nothing is incentivized.
That's true.
You don't have to be a good teacher. That teacher's sitting in New York playing games and saying, we're not teaching anymore because we don't like the kids, and you got to pay the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, show up, right? It's ridiculous at a level. But how would they indoctrinate America's future if they can't put them in the public school system?
Well, I mean,
cram it down
yes, I agree with that. The audacity, though, that she has to say parents are realizing that you guys should be paid more. Right, that's you guys should be paid more.
Y'all are overpaid.
Right.
Y'all are overpaid. If anything, like that's not even. I know some teachers probably about to jump down my throat right now after they hear that. I don't care. I've been saying it for a long period of time. Definitely for you guys that don't do summer school work anyway. So you off 8-9 months, or full 3-4 months anyway. Nonetheless, you're overpaid. You are not the market going rate. Your line, however much you make, whatever they dictate, however it is, that's all made up because you're not competing in a market.
Right.
You're not competing in a market. Your money is subsidized by way of us.
Yes.
Everybody else, and it don't matter if you got kids or not. You're subsidized by them. You're playing with, I don't want to say house money because they're stealing from it. But you're not up to I don't even say the private school. You can't even really say those are going by way of the market because unfortunately they have to compete with people that get to operate with stolen funds. So if anything, you guys are overpaid, and I know they don't like to hear that. The reality of the situation is this, and y'all don't put this on Blaze, don't put this on Yaku, don't put this on Sarah.
What's he gonna say?
This is all me. The reality of the situation is this: if it weren't for the public education system, a lot of y'all would be out of jobs. You'd be forced out on the street because you're lousy. That's the reality of the situation.
I stamped that.
I don't disagree with it either. And by the way, I would just like to say that doesn't mean that we don't know that there are great teachers out there.
Exactly.
You find
And they
that
typically
great
disagree
teacher,
with the teachers
you-
union.
And they make more if it
Yes.
hadn't had to
You
worry about
find
people.
that great teacher and you put them in an open market and you incentivize them like you do an athlete or anybody else, and you're going to see education skyrocket. And for my matter, if you get a teacher that can build a kid's self-esteem while doing math, pay him $1 million a year. I don't
Probably get
care.
paid more.
Pay them.
And you wouldn't be so scared
incentivize it.
of competing,
Exactly.
right? You wouldn't be
Correct.
scared of competing because you would know that your job is secured if you're
Absolutely.
really great at what you do.
Find the best and pay them handsomely. But to your point, the norm is, I don't need to work.
Right.
Listen how they talk about the children in the public school system. No, come on. But it's the system,
Yeah.
right? And
Fundamental.
they're just playing the game.
Yeah, and by the way, I'd just like to point out before we go to break, I know you pointed out what they say about the children. I know we've heard, I think it was San Francisco made the remark about, we're just babysitters to them. It's like, no, because as Eric pointed out, you're taking my money. Okay, like I'm paying you,
trust.
so you don't need to talk about how you're a babysitter and no one appreciates you and no one does this and that. Like, actually, my kid right now, I'm teaching and I'm still paying your stupid salary.
Yep.
So maybe take that into consideration. All right, up next, speaking of teachers, we have San Diego teachers are providing in-person classes for migrant kids, of course, as a lot of the local schools there remain closed. You're going to need to take your blood pressure medication for this one. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, that's so helpful.
I know.
That's good.
I know.
Yeah, our kids don't matter.
The San Diego County Board of Education has agreed to send teachers to provide in-person instruction for the hundreds of teen migrant girls that are being housed at the San Diego Convention Center. Now, in case I just want to make sure that there's no confusion here. Yes, here in Dallas, we still have the migrant children. Those are teen boys. And those are in Dallas. They've opened up a whole new location in San Diego at their convention center. They have many, many teen girls because there's just no space to put them. And the federal government has come in and basically just thrown these people into our laps. But here is the Board of Education. Here's the supervisor tweeting out that they will be sending teachers for the in-person learning. It's great that there's in-person learning for them. I wish every child in San Diego County was allowed the same opportunity. Now, according to the San Diego Union Tribune, the schools are still closed in San Diego Unified, but they are scheduled as of right now to open for in-person instruction on April 12th. By the way, that district is expected to get a total of $342.6 million from the American Rescue Plan. So this whole time, San Diego schools have been closed to in-person instruction. Migrants come, and within a week?
Yeah.
The San Diego Teachers Union has agreed to provide in-person instruction for them. Your children be damned if you actually live in San Diego and are a citizen of this country, I guess.
That's a prime example of when I say, like on the show all the time, how immigration doesn't matter where you're at in the political spectrum. It's not a black and white issue.
Right.
But the fundamental issue with treating it as if, okay, yeah, everybody come over and do whatever, which a lot of people think a libertarian position is. It's not. But that shows you the problem, is that your money ends up subsidizing that right there, right? That subsidizes that, while also it's being used to play politics, right? Which is what you're dealing with. We don't have to pretend like that isn't the case. And that's the issue on why, when I say taxation is theft or something like that, like that's what I'm talking about. Like no sane parent is like, I want my money to go to someone else that ain't even been taxed yet, someone else's education. I'll be like, no, why would I
I'm
want
also
that?
responsible for keeping my kid at home.
Right, exactly. That's the problem right there. That's it's not just with that. I'm talking about that with the refugee resettlement program and how much money. I don't think people understand the millions and millions of dollars that goes into this stuff. This is not a case, and this is when I would tolerate it. If one of these rich celebrities out there in San Diego or California or any out there on the West Coast, If they wanted to then either adopt or sponsor a migrant child or group of migrant children to educate them, have at it,
Great.
man.
Great.
But reach in your own damn pockets and do that. But that's not what's happening there. It's a strictly taxpayer stolen funds that get that pay for that, and the education system somehow continues to fail up, where they get rewarded more money. How much you say? 300 something million? What the?
Eric,
if I was, oh my God!
Let me ask you a
I was going
question.
crazy.
Let me ask you a question. April 15th is tax day, right? When you do your taxes, are you supposed to accurately appropriate and ledger money spent? Does it go in certain categories and brackets? Yes. If you misappropriate funds, right, do you think the IRS is going to come and say, hey, pay up, sonny? Of course they are. If you misappropriate funds on an expense account at your job, somebody, and it's a gas card, but you buy M&Ms, all of a sudden they go, hey, you can't be buying your kids diapers. Exactly. Is there a problem? Of course there is. So why, when the federal government takes your tax dollar in a state that is absolutely bankrupt, as bankrupt as freaking Guatemala is, for the sake of this conversation, all right, bankrupt, they're going to take your tax dollar, misappropriate it to a non-tax-paying family, non-American citizen, and say, hey, not only are we going to pay for that, but you who paid for it, we're not going to help your child. We're not going to help your child. This is the problem that I have when people go vote and they don't even know what they're voting for. Because they now voted for this. Because if you ask them, they go, I won't vote for that. Nobody asked me if that's okay. No, they did. It was called the presidential election. You idiot. They asked you if is it okay if we steal from you? We're going to mask it as, hey, I'm the white guy who calls all the other white guys bad. I'm the old white guy who has kids filling up my legs and my hairs. And I'm going to steal from you. Is it okay if I steal from you? And you said yes, many of you. And then they stole the whole dang election, right? This is why it's so important, Sarah, that people understand when they actually get the opportunity to vote for a mayoral race or a governor or a senator or a judge or whatever, you better be thinking how it affects your pocketbook and your child.
Yeah. And so speaking of this whole conversation on how much taxpayer funds are spent on things of that nature, the Department of Homeland Security believes that this migrant crisis with children is not the only one that we will have. They think that approximately 500,000 to 800,000 migrants will arrive as part of a family group during the 2021 fiscal year that ends in September. So that would equal or exceed the record numbers who entered in 2019. And, they're trying to figure out what to do with them. But, the same conversation, I feel like, could be had about this particular situation with families coming over. Now, I've seen several people suggest, of course, with so much compassion, that, what we need to do is just send these people's home countries more money so that they can be stable and well off, and then they won't need to come here.
Well, no, that's not the conversation that they want to even have.
I had a feeling you'd have something to say.
You would have to talk about America's foreign policy as well, but more so in regards to that, how look like the war on drugs. That's something that they still ain't trying to touch there, because what it would unfortunately do is expose a lot of them for the crooked people that they absolutely are. So they're not even ready to have that conversation. But I would say that's more likely to happen than them actually addressing the problem. Like, okay, how about this drug war that's been going on, in which you're basically bolstering up these cartels that are ruining these people, these places, these areas where people are, again, incentivized to get the hell up out of there, because who would want to live around that? But a lot of that has to do with their policy in terms of the federal level, right? It's not necessarily at the state, that's at the federal level, and how they handle the drug war per se. That's not a conversation that they're willing to have, but I think it's absolutely crazy that we're still having this conversation of trying to steal from people, use that money, and then give it to a foreign country to make them better. Like, they're still doing that. Like, I thought we all.
I mean, we're already spending enough money in foreign aid. I don't think the solution is to just spend more money.
Look. Scripture tells you teach a guy how to fish. You don't give him a fish, because he's always going to be a dependent stray cat that's going to come back. But wait a minute, newsflash. The precedent was set by a president recently. Oh, that's right. This guy's mentor, Obama, sent a plane full of cash, an airplane full of American taxpayer cash to not just a struggling country, one of our arch rivals, an enemy, We just fly cash over there. So yes, Sarah. They'll do it.
That to me is,
they'll do it.
Like, you have to look at that, and this is why, we talked about this yesterday. Attack the roots, right? Because they know that they're playing with money. When you look at how reckless that is, why these people just so easily talk about billions, millions of dollars just being thrown to just pee it away. You have to understand that this is an economic question. This isn't a moral one. This isn't a social preference. This is an economic question. When you are in a marketplace, if we operated like the government operated, the federal government, you wouldn't be a thing.
Chapter 11.
Exactly.
Chapter 11.
You would not be a thing. The state, however, they're rewarded for it because, well, they can either tax it or they can monetize their debt, which the central banking system allows them to do. So that's why it's so easy for them to say $1 billion here, $1 million here, because, well, it's not like they have to compete in a marketplace for your dollar. It's not like it's earned. No, they literally say, give it to us or you're going to be in jail.
Right.
Yeah, but the piper always calls, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
And the piper, you spell China, China. And that piper is knocking on many American cities' doors. San Francisco's gone. The Northwest is gone. They're calling. They're calling up. They're calling up the IOUs, land, resources. I mean, they're doing it. And this government, Obama 1.0, now Obama 2.0, well, the trilogy, Obama, Biden, and Harris, the three compadres. China's calling. Watch, you'll see. At the end of the day, you got to pay up because our dollar's backed by zero, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're not backed by a hard asset, right? China's backing their currency with gold. They're stockpiling gold like crazy. They're going to call. That piper's calling, and they're going to pay IOUs, and the American citizens going to suffer for it.
All right, we've got more to come. Back in a minute. Joe Biden has earned the For Pinocchio title from the Washington Post for his false claims about Georgia's new voting law. Now, here is Joe Biden during his first news conference. He was discussing this voting law, which I'd like to touch on because I think that there are a lot of not that I'm blaming you, Joe Biden, for anything, but there are a lot of misconceptions about this particular law. Here is the claim that he was hit with 4 Pinocchios on watch.
What I'm worried about is how un-American this whole initiative is. It's sick. It's sick. Deciding in some states that you cannot bring water to people standing in line, waiting to vote. Deciding that you're going to end voting at 5 o'clock when working people are just getting off work.
Now, this is what Glenn Kessler from the Washington Post said. One could understand a flub in a news conference, but then the same claim popped up in an official presidential statement. Not a single expert we consulted who has studied the law understood why Biden made this claim, as this was the section of the law that expanded early voting for many Georgians. On Election Day in Georgia, polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and if you are in line by 7 p.m., you are allowed to cast your ballot. Nothing in the new law changes those rules. They did make some changes to early voting, but the net effect was to expand the opportunities to vote for most Georgians, not to limit them. So, of course, the Washington Post is no
right-wing.
It's no right-wing conspiracy theorist website. This is the Washington Post. Ended up giving him 4 Pinocchios. By the way, would just like to point out also when we're discussing this law that it wasn't that like, oh, well, we don't want voters to be allowed to be hydrated. Don't bring them water. No, it's that you can't give them gifts, and that includes food or drink, because if a campaign was coming out and bringing people food, donuts,
where does it stop?
Water, juice, right, and then a gift card, and then this, they said, hey, let's not do that. Let's let the elections be fair. But here you have it, Joe Biden. And it's interesting because Glenn Kessler said, where is it? He said, not a single expert we consulted who has studied the law understood why Biden made this claim. Really? Because I do. Because people will buy it.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to use a little bit of time and yield my time to the gentleman in the red shirt across the table. Here's my little bit of time I'm going to use. May I remind the president which party shuts down polls in the middle of an election, refuses to count ballots in the middle of an election?
Well, until the middle of the night.
Okay, so I yield to you, sir.
Eric.
Look, I've made this point time and time again that the side that they're trying to appeal to, and this is where libertarians lose, conservatives lose, because a lot of them are just right-minded thinking. So they look at it, I have the best ideas on my side, that should always win. He's trying to appeal to people that don't care about any of that.
That's right.
These are purely emotional, irrational people. I call them brainlets because that's exactly what they are. We know that's verifiably false. It's not up for debate. It's not up for disputes. If even lawyers can't, experts, which they do that's what they get paid to do, is try to weasel and maybe admit that, and they can't even do it. Maybe something's not there. Doesn't matter. We can sit here and talk to it blue in the face like he's lying. How many times you seen on Twitter people repeat that exact same thing? Blue check mark, all the influence, got thousands of retweets. Because they're about the particular topic. And that's why it's difficult to combat them. And why I say, might not like me saying it, but the reality is you can't appeal to those types by sitting here leading with the factual information or the logic or the reason. They don't respond to that. They don't even care for that. If they responded to that, they wouldn't react that way. They wouldn't immediately start with your freaking president gets on a podium and just regurgitates this same old lie. It's not even true. It's false. Doesn't matter. They're still going to run with it. They're still going to run with it. They're still going to claim that you are oppressing them or whatever angle they want to take. They're still going to do that because they are leading with purely emotion. This is why I'm talking about these fools. They lie, cheating. Eddie Guerrero, for you guys that used to watch wrestling, that was what he said. A lie, cheating, or steal. That's what he said. That's the topic. That's what they adopt. They're not in the business of trying to use reason. They're not even in the business of truth. They're in the business of trying to win. And whatever way that they have to do that, if they have to lie, cheat, and steal, that's what they're going to do. And if they got to paint you as the worst person in the world, and what it is that you advocate doesn't matter, you're expanding voter rights or whatever that is, they don't care. No, I'll say you're doing the complete opposite. And here you go. These are not smart people, guys.
I'm going to take 15 seconds back, Eric.
You got it.
I'm going to say this. Sarah earlier in the show said a little word, context, right? They don't need context. They do whatever they want. True. There has to be no context for them. They don't care.
By the way, Eric, I think the new slogan is lie, cheat, and fortify.
Oh, lie, cheat,
and fortify.
Right.
Okay, because you can't say steal.
Okay.
You have to say fortify.
But they literally do steal, though. It's just through taxes.
No, oh gosh, don't get Eric started on the taxes. We gotta go to break. Back in a minute. All right. Don't forget, if you have not yet gone to wherever you get your audio podcast, subscribe, rate, and review the news and why it matters. Make sure to give us 5 stars because we deserve nothing less than that. You also might see your review read live on air. We've got one today from Amy J. Lee 79, best podcast. 5 stars. Love it. My favorite guest is Yako. He speaks truth backed by scripture, and this world needs so much more of that. We've got one more from
Thank you, Amy.
A. Standley. I think that's what it is. A. Standley 1, the only news show I listen to. P.S. Krispy Kreme donuts are disgusting. I could not agree more. Finally, someone is saying it. I know okay, so you guys know the Krispy Kreme story with you got your vaccine. Let's make you more unhealthy with free donuts. But could we talk for a second about how awful Krispy Kreme donuts are? Am I alone in this?
No, you're not alone.
They're sickeningly sweet. It's too
like
much.
The
They're too
like
rich.
it's glazed, not donut.
Yeah, it's over-glazed.
Well, it's just not that. I mean, they target children too with the little donut holes, and so.
Wow, Yako's going way down.
I'm going way down. I'm going, Krispy Kreme, stop targeting children. You're like the president of the United States. No, I mean, yes, disgusting.
Totally agree with you.
How about we eat ourselves healthy? We don't need vaccines and no masks. How about we just advocate human immune system?
Wait, you mean the immune system God gave us?
That one.
Brilliant.